To delete a note, that means modifying app state.notes, right? The list. And the only component allowed to do that is app, of course. So let's make a new method on app. We'll call it remove note or delete note or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to be changing state. So we need to know which note to delete, right? So we'll receive an argument with the note that we want to delete. Unless it's, I guess it's always the current note, isn't it? Yeah, it's always the current note, so we don't need that. How do we do it? Who made it work? Who didn't even try that whole time? Okay, liars. Yeah, Jay. Okay. Caleb?
What I did is I took the current note and then I just set it as a blank note instead of like actually deleting it. Because blank notes is null, empty string. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
So if we did that to one that's in the middle, wouldn't you end up with an empty one in the middle? Or what did it do? Yeah.
Well, its ID's null.
Yeah. They're not sorted. I mean, they're not sorted. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that probably wouldn't do quite what we want. Let's make a list of let's make a copy of the current state, right? Const notes. Notes is the part of state that we're actually changing. So a copy of this .state.notes. How do you delete a key from an object? Delete notes, square bracket, the ID of the note we want, right? Which is this .state.current note .id. Yeah. We don't want to act on this we don't want to act on the state object directly, and those are passed by reference. So that's why. When we at the end, we're going to say this .set state notes, which is again the same thing as writing notes. So you replace the old state with the new state. Dang it. So we replace the old state with the new state, and the new state should not just be a version of state that we're messing with. We need to make a copy of it first. It's not going to be reliable to mess with it otherwise.
So that's a pretty routine structure for whenever you're doing any kind of thing. It's just like you create the new state that is a clone of the current state.
The piece of state that you're using, yeah.
You do something to that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just push the new state.
Right. And if you don't need the old state for anything, like if we're just setting it to blank, it doesn't matter, right? We don't need to know what the old one was. Then we don't bother with that part, right? So that will delete it. See what happens. Let's make a note. Blah, blah, blah. Make another one. Make sure it's the current one. Now I don't have this wired up right. So I'm going to be doing this in the console. In my React DevTools on app. Now I have $R. So $R dot remove note. Deleted. But we didn't clear out current note, right? It's not in the list anymore, but it is still in the form.
Wait, don't if you delete one of the characters in there, it's going to remake it?
Yep. And we already have reset current note, right? You know, since we don't pass in an argument, I'm going to call this remove current note. Just to be clear that that's the one that it's going to remove. Yeah.
Can you explain that the third line, delete notes,
This?
delete notes list?
Okay. So, notes, square bracket, this.state.current node ID is the current node. Does that make sense? Inside the object. And the delete keyword is how you delete a key from an object. Yep. Which we didn't know before. Hadn't used it before. Cool. So we need remove current note to be passed down to the form where this button lives. Add it to our actions object here. Remove current note is this dot remove current note. That will get it down to main. We need to pass it on to form. So we have remove note up here. Maybe main has so many dang props that we don't even want to do the destructuring thing anymore. That is getting a little out of control. So now that we've demonstrated this, I will change that back to props. Don't forget to change this everywhere. By the way,
Could you do spread syntax on the props? Does that, maybe I'm not understanding how that spread works properly.
and do what with it?
Could you do like brackets, ellipses, props?
In the argument list?
Yeah.
That won't get you anything. So to save them all out to variables, you need to do the destructuring thing, where you name which ones you want to take out of there. There is something like what you're talking about, though. So we could. Don't want to get into that. I'm not sure. There is something there. So I'm going to change these back to props dot whatever. And now note form needs to receive remove current note, props dot remove current note. So in note form, where's our delete button? Here it is. So let's add an on-click here. On-click what? Again, note form is a class, so this dot props dot remove current note. Or yeah, no parens. I always like to delete the one in the middle. Deleted. And a new one is going in at the end. Cool. Delete notes. Homework managed.